Hi there everybody, welcome to another video. On today's video I have this Lexus CT200h. This is a 2012 model and I'm going to be changing the front brake discs and pads. I've got my discs here, 2 discs obviously, and I've got a set of pads, 4 pads there. The pads are this make here blueprint ADT 342181 and the discs are ADT 343135. So obviously, as always, I recommend you order your parts according to your chassis or registration number. That way you get the parts that correspond to your vehicle. So the first thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to open the brake fluid reservoir here, which I already opened. I didn't really have to. You can remove this little cover here and take this cover out, but I just undone it and let it sit there, basically just there. The brake fluid in this case is kind of up to the max here, so just have to keep an eye. When we push the pistons back on the calipers, what happens is the fluid comes back up as well, so sometimes it can spill, but it looks like this reservoir, it's quite large enough to take on the extra fluid, so it should be okay. But we also want to have it open, because that way there is no, when you push those pistons back, there won't be resistance. Because also you can damage the O-rings and whatnot, which are on the brake master cylinder and whatnot. Whatever the pipes that go from the caliper into these. So just be aware of that. And the next step is to remove the wheels. So get your locking wheel nut and take those off, and then we'll tackle those discs and pads. I'm only going to do one side. In this case, both sides are the same. They don't have any brake sensors or anything like that. So I'm going to tackle one of the sides and I'll make the video on that. The other side, I'll just do it. Okay, wheel is off, and I just turned the wheel to the right. So the caliper is facing me a little bit, so it's this way. And it's a little bit easier to access. So the first thing I'm going to do with a flathead screwdriver, I just want to push the piston back. So if you get your screwdriver and wedge it against the side, you may be able to see how that goes. How that, as we push the caliper that way, the piston gets pushed back in. So that's what I'm doing here. Just a little bit, it won't go. Maybe that's as much as it will go. And now with a 14mm socket, you can release these bolts. They won't be too tight. Usually these get tightened to like 30-35 Newton meters, something like that. So we can take this out. If you find that when you're turning this is rotating, then you need to hold that as well. I usually use a pair of pliers like this, which I have them ready in case I need to hold that. But to be honest, this car hasn't really done that many miles, so maybe that's why those are not turning and the bolts are fairly clean. Now another issue I had, I already done the other side, and I have an issue with the pads where I couldn't fit the shims, the metal shims that go on the pads. We'll have a look at that in a second. And I had an issue like that before already. So let's put this caliper to one side. Just be aware and be careful with the brake fluid hose here. This caliper doesn't weigh much, it's very light. You could just try to hang it somewhere actually. So just to keep it out of the way, I just put it on that for now. So these pads here, if I can just take that out, have these metal shims on them, and they come out like that. So the new pads also have one metal shim there, but the originals have two. So sometimes when I find this kind of thing, I usually use that on the new pad. However, I'm having an issue fitting even any of the shims, so I have to remove even this one here, to be honest, for my caliper to fit back on there. Now, this isn't difficult to remove, it just slides out. Well, we'll remove it in a minute. Same with this one, because they are just not fitting. I'm not sure that is because I'm just wondering whether the original pads are slightly thinner when they come, when you buy the genuine ones, whether they are slightly thinner, and that's why you're able to put the shims. Otherwise, it's impossible to fit the caliper back onto those pads with shims on them. So anyway, let's take this one out as well. If it is a little bit stubborn, obviously just help yourself with a screwdriver. Makes your life easier. There we are. And we're also going to use these little clips. Those clips just literally, you just lift them from here and they pop out, and you're going to put that on the new pad. Okay, so I changed the clips there, this one and the other one. Just remove them from the old pads. And also these shims, they come out. You can just, I mean, I would suggest perhaps buying the genuine pads in any case, because I'm having problems with these blueprint ones. They just don't fit. So I'm going to take this out with a 17mm socket. Will undo this. Okay, so that's just this bolt and this one here. And you can remove that. And we'll give that a little wire brush in a minute. So we'll wire brush it. We can also wire brush our caliper a little bit. I will do that as well. But bear in mind, this wire brush is very hard and it can damage the rubber that is around the piston here. So if you're gonna use something like this, use it on one side and be very careful on the other side where this rubber is, because it will pierce it, and then that is a problem because then water gets into it and it seizes the piston. So if you are going to wire brush this, use a very soft one. I will only do one side in this case. And now we also want to remove our disc. With a hammer, just take it out, and this should come out. When you take your disc out of the box, it will be in a bag, and it will also have some oil all around. So clean that oil. I use some brake cleaner to clean all of that oil that sits around the disc. The area here, you can have a look at the area there. It's, in this case, it's okay. It's greased and it's okay. So otherwise you could clean it, give it a clean, and and then we fit our disc. So I'm just going to temporarily put one of these, hold the disc in place. While we wire brush that there. So looking at this, I'm going to wire brush along there and down here as well, this area, and also there are some these sort of water dust covers here, so be careful not to damage those when you're wire brushing. These are the little pistons inside of there that slide in and out. You could take them out and clean them as well. I'm not doing it in this case scenario. This car is only 40,000 miles. It should be fine. Obviously just make sure they do move and they're not seized. Sometimes when these get pierced or damaged, water goes in there and they seize. You will see that, you would see that on the way your pad wears out. One side would wear out more than one angle. Say the bottom side of the pad would wear out faster if this was seized. So anyway, no, the other way around. If this was seized, this side of the pad will not wear out, and then it will wear out up here, and then it will be at an angle. So anyway, I'm gonna wire brush this and I'm gonna fit it back. Okay, I got the caliper carrier back on. Just gonna tighten it back with my air gun. No need to overdo it. And then, so I cleaned that. That is cleaned. Now we can fit our pads. Just gonna give the disc a quick wipe here from any dust. So here's one side, one pad. Just push it in there. And we can fit the other side as well. It should just slide in there as well. Sometimes these are a bit hard, but a bit of persistence and you should succeed. Right, now I'm going to clean my caliper. Also, whatever I clean, I rinse with brake cleaner. Okay, now you may also find that the piston is not all the way in, so you may want to use a tool, something like this, to push that piston back a bit more. So we'll give that a go. And that piston, it's going back in. And now that is all the way in. Because if it's not all the way in, you'll struggle to fit it in here. Right, got my caliper ready to go back in here. Or at least I think it's ready. So maybe that piston needs to go in a little bit more, but you can see what I mean. It's already quite hard to push this caliper onto these pads. And when you have those shims on them, it's pretty much impossible. And especially if you have two of those. So, as I said, I don't know, maybe you should buy the genuine stuff, and it might be that is millimeters smaller. It only it's just millimeters that we're talking about here. But in this case, it's just a... Okay. There we are. That should be fine. So, there we are. Now we can put our bolts here. Obviously have to line it up properly to fit this. And again, I always do this by hand because that way I know they're going in the correct direction. So you can do them by hand up to a certain point. And once you know they are going in the correct direction, you can then use your ratchet Sometimes it is a bit hard to do it by hand, obviously. It depends how corroded or not corroded these are, but okay, so I am tightening these to, I got my torque wrench here. I'm just tightening these to 35 Newton meters. And now all we need to do is fit the wheel back. And the first thing we're going to do is pump the brake a few times. And just to mention, the torque setting for these other bolts is about 100 Newton meters. 100 and about 35 for this. So yeah, okay, I'm gonna get the wheel back on. Right, wheels are on. First things first, pump the brake a couple of times, well, until it's hard really, because it's gonna go all the way in. And then we can go and close our brake fluid reservoir here. You can see, maybe you can see the fluid went up a little bit. It's not dramatically, it just went up a bit because it's quite a big reservoir there, to be honest. So I want to close these, but so obviously I didn't open. Maybe I should have taken this little cover out. It's just got two clips on the sides, really. You can pull it up a bit, but okay, that's on. Now we can close that again. Right, and that little blue thing goes into that hole there on one side and on the other, and that's how it sits. Right, and that's it really. So make sure that obviously the first 100 miles that you drive, you might feel that the pads need to wear into the discs basically, so it might feel a little bit odd, but it shouldn't feel too bad. And also those shims really, I mean, I'm gonna be experimenting a bit how the car behaves not really the braking efficiency. It's more to do with the squeaking, that kind of thing that those shims are for. So if we get any squeaking or anything like that, may need to think of fitting genuine parts. But so if you want my advice, maybe see if buying the genuine stuff is better, because clearly for me they just wouldn't fit with those shims on them. So anyway, hope the video helps. Don't forget to like, follow, subscribe, and we'll see you all in the next video. Thank you for watching.